Hi, I'm John Storms, and welcome to our 2022 behind the scenes video. So we're starting off kind of what is the control center. It's very unimpressive, but I have my entire show running off of an FPP. It's a Raspberry Pi 4, and it's running an FPP image, which controls the entire show. So this whole thing is the computer that drives the show. And so I have a Ethernet cable that goes over there to a network switch that we'll get to. And then I simply have a regular old audio cable, see, like you would with your headphones, plugged into, you know, the audio jack in the back. Got a little USB card for storage, stores all the songs, and of course power. And it's really simple. And that's really why you want one of these, because I used to run X schedule. The problem is I would get lags and hitching. Even doing my best to clean up the computer, I would still get a little lags and hitches, which would throw off the videos I like to make. But this is a stripped down version of Debian Linux, I believe. And so it's literally only running your show, nothing else. So you get better performance. So to the audio jack, I have my radio transmitter. I have a mobile black box, which they haven't made for years. So I'm always in fear that it's gonna die. And just in case it does, I got a backup transmitter, which is something I bought off of Amazon. And I've tested it out a few times, and my mom has one. And then of course it's that BNC connector goes up here to the antenna, which I have pushed all the way down. This is where my Pi 4 is powered, and then the radio is powered off of this guy. So this is just a Amazon controlled outlet. It's a smart outlet, and I have it hooked up to Alexa so I can have everything automated to turn on and off by itself. I do not leave my show powered up 24/7. When the controllers are powered up, so are the pixels, and that's just an invitation for things to go wrong. So I keep it powered off when I'm not using it. So typically I'll have the show powered up from like 5 to midnight, and then I'll run the show, you know, in between. Of course, we just had our first show last night, so still got the multimeter there because, you know, still running into occasional glitches. I have a radio here just so I can listen to the show from here. The other thing is I have this little connector, which is, I think it's ferrite, I'm not sure what it is, but that helps cut down on the noise on the line for the radio. Okay, so that's the control station. Like I said, there's not a lot to it. Up front here I got my deer. So this is as you can see, a functional 2-car garage. So I can't keep the deer in front of the garage all the time, so I connect them and disconnect them each time I run the show, and I just have them face to face. And these guys I hooked up to a nice little exoskeleton made out of PVC, and then I gave them feet so that they stand, and then they each have a data and power connector. In the future, I'd like to make these autonomous, give them their own little remote controller, so that you know, they have their own part of the sequence stored, and then I can move them around a little bit more freely. All right, so let's go over to the next part over here, and this is my network switch. Actually, it's not my network switch anymore. I replaced it with this one from my office. Why? Because I was having some serious glitches the last couple of days where the network would just hang and hitch, and I'd go to ping and the pings were fast. So it was like, it's either not working at all or working very fast. And I realized that I had not swapped out this this switch since after my display got hit by lightning last year, and it got hit just over here in the side yard. So yeah, so I went and grabbed this. All right, got to avoid hitting the buttons. All right, then right next door to it, this is kind of a makeshift setup, but this is when I'm running the singing faces off. I got an extra Falcon controller here. I got a power injection box right there. Mado's got a free sticker viewing. And then I have them all hooked up, and I got the cables in a bucket, all coiled up nice and neat. So when I pull them out, it's only a 5-minute job to plug them all in. And then I just lined the singing trees up in front of my garage, and off we go. All right, So next, let's go over to the side yard and we'll work our way over. Okay. So, we got a lot of rain, but today is a really nice day. I put plastic garbage bags over my controller stacks. I've been doing this for years. It's worked out really well for me. In the past, I've gotten condensation on the inside of the boxes, and I found when I put the garbage bag over top, the condensation builds up on the garbage bag. And as far as heat goes, I haven't had heat problems. I'm in Texas. It does get warm, but it's worked out. All right, so I'm going to start up here. Again, here's another one of those power switches. You know, it's a side outlet. And I got it hooked up to a surge protector. I have everything on surge protectors. And then up there is a power injection box, which services stuff up on the roof, and a couple odds and ends. Here, this is another power injection box, which is very lightly used right now. In the middle there, which, okay, we're back. Man, I'm bad at hitting buttons today. Okay, so wedged in between there is a Pixels to Things controller. And what's wonderful about this is that a Linorama controller sits on the serial interface. Serial interfaces are tricky, and the numbering in X-Lights can get tricky. So what Pixels to Things does is the Pixel to Things box actually sits on one of the ports from the Pixel controller, and it gets its power from the Pixel controller, and it will then take signals from the Pixel controller and put it out to individual channel AC lights. So no serial controller, and it just hangs off your Pixel. So when you're in your X-Lights and you're doing the visualize thing, you can just drop your AC props right onto the Pixel ports. Works great. Again, I got everything on a power strip. This guy is a F16 V4, which I had a V3 there when I first set up. Had a lot of problems because apparently this lightning strike happened right over in the corner there, where I had my Tune2 sign, and what was it, 6 out of the 16 ports on this were blown. What's weird is when it happened during the season, I lost one of the Ethernet ports, switched over to Ethernet ports, and was able to run out the rest of the season. But when I went to go power stuff, I was getting really weird results. 2 pixels work, 1 pixel would work on the affected ports. Swapped out the controller, everything was fine. So anyway, so now I got a Falcon F16 V4 going there. Of course, here I have my deer line. I got a Santa who's starting to fade. But these are deer that I've picked up basically driving through the countryside deer hunting. You'll find a lot of these little roadside things where people bring stuff up from Mexico and other places, and they got the metal deer, and it took a while to get a whole set. Yeah, Emily. I got a power injection box there, and of course then we got the house with all the snowflakes on it. And a lot of people ask, how do we mount the snowflakes to the house? And there's a good example right here. So what I do is I take a masonry bit on my drill, and I just come here at a steep angle. And then this is a drywall anchor, and I just tap that in, and then I take one of these ganchos or screw eyes, and I screw that in. And then I'll use that to hang the snowflakes on, or I'll use that to, like here, to string up the fishing line. Let me show you the type of clip I use on the back of the snowflakes. Of course, the snowflakes live up there, but they're not home. They're all on the house. But I use these kind of clips, right? And so what I'll do is one side will clip onto the snowflake, and the other side will clip onto the hook. And then I use the zip ties that have the cable guard, or the cable ties on them, like this one. And you see how that is handy, so I can clip it on. It's like up there, I gave it a zip tie extension, but you can see that I have the clip, and then I go into a screw eye. So the house isn't loaded with screw eyes. There's more up there than my wife knows, but a lot of things, you know, I take advantage of hanging things in the wood of the eaves, off of those brackets that are holding up the awnings, and so on. And they can hold weight. Now, the other thing that's really important with Coro is, as you can see on the back of the Coro, it's just a wire for your pixels. And if those are bouncing around and rubbing up against the house, that's going to rub the coating off your wires. So I don't want the pixels when they're up. I don't want the snowflakes to move at all. So we use a lot of fishing line. See, and when the wind blows, even in heavy wind, these things don't go anywhere. I could play guitar on my house here. See, I got fishing line going every which way, and that keeps everything nice and secure. Okay, underneath the pergola, we got a lot of stuff going on. So there, I got another one of those smart switches, which feeds a pair of the sun, which feeds a pair of power outlets, and then the power outlets feed. Why is that one on? Alexa, turn off T1 outlet. Oh my God, they were on all night, all day. Okay, so we have this power injection box, this power injection box, and then we have this F16 V3 controller. And so the track is a Cobalt track that I bought at Lowe's with the shelves, and it fits very nice behind my pergola, works very nice as a cable guard, a cable tray. Super happy to have the pergola. I wish I had the pergola wrapping all over the front of the house. All right, moving on. Here we have the cactus, which we're very fond of. We had this long before we were doing animated shows, and it has been rebirthed several times. We've overhauled it. It first had rope lights, then we switched to LEDs, and then we started moving into pixels, then more pixels, and yeah, we have to do a few repairs. And so this is his power injection box, which could be better placed. Then we get onto the porch. Let's get some messiness. Here we have our DMX wireless controller that powers the bracelets, and this guy connects to the rest of the display. Oops. With this thing, Pixel to DMX. So it's made by the same people that do the Pixel to things, and it's the same idea. So it allows me to have DMX devices hanging off of Pixel ports instead of a serial interface. So I am now serial interface free in my display. Of course, here you can see all of the cables leading up to this F16 V4, and it has 2 expansion cards, so that's a lot of ports. I don't use them all, but I got room for growth. And then up above that, I have 2 additional power injection boxes, and then another power injection box over there. Plus, I got, you know, more wireless power switches. And then I got my cones that I put out when we're doing a show for the neighbors. And extension cords running back to the side of the house. All right, so let's look at the yard. So this is the front yard. One of the big new things this year is I put pixels on the bushes. Wasn't a hard thing, but you know, looks really nice. And we just wrapped them, and we actually modeled them using a tree, and came out really good. So real happy with it. And of course, this bush used to be a tiered bush, but it died, or mostly died, and I cut off the top 2 tiers, and it looks like it's doing pretty good now. We got the lawn outlined with 24mm pixel bulbs that I ordered from Paul Zhang, and they look awesome. Been real happy with those. Let's see. I do a lot of power injection. It's pretty easy, and I use it almost everywhere. Oh, there you can see the cable bundle coming off the roof from the center part. And it's a new roof this year. We got big old hailstorm. I think actually no, the roof is new from the other year. But all those pixels. Oh, look at that! There's a lizard. Look at him. right there. What are you doing? Look at him. Hanging out by my display. So when we were getting the lights put up this year, I get people to do the really high stuff, but there was a beehive, really active hornet's nest up high. And had to take that out before we got started. You know, part of the problem with putting up lights in the south are bees and ants and other stinging, biting bugs. Okay, let's see. Oh, stake in the yard. So the ground here is really hard, and it's hard. You can get the stakes in, but it's hard to get them consistent. So what I do is I have a drill bit that I have sacrificed to the dirt, and I actually drill in each of the holes, and there's about 475 of those. So it's a lot easier than pushing it in. I also put pixels on the side trees, and of course on these bushes too. Here I got power injection boxes. In the front yard I use these ammo cases, and they work really well. And I have 30 amp power supplies in those, so they go quite a ways. And then here, this used to be one of those big stacks with a whole bunch of stuff. Now it's just a F16 V3 all by itself. In that Tupperware container is a power strip. That's where all the power comes in. I put in the trip guards just so I don't trip myself or anybody that might be going through the yard. And sure enough, last night we had some kids running around in the yard. That wasn't cool. Yelled at them, told them they were being stupid. And then I got the trees. So each of the trees has a matrix of 600 pixels and a custom model. And then I have the bucket of power in each tree. And each bucket of power has 3 30 amp power supplies that power the lights in the tree. And it's hung in the tree with a nice Velcro strap. And then I got a fan that pulls air in the middle down there. And then I have you know, vents on top, and works pretty good. I got the cables come out the bottom. Next year I'm going to add a bunch more cables because I want to double the number of lights I put on these trees. Okay, trying not to trip over stuff. And of course this other tree is the same. All right, we got the power injection and the bucket of power. We come over here and we have the tree line. These are 13 trees. They are 6-foot white wire trees. The 3 in the middle are actually a little taller than the rest, which I was surprised. I bought them over a period of time, and at one point they actually switched them to be slightly higher, which really sucked. But luckily it's 3, put them in the middle, kind of looks symmetrical. These are all from Home Depot, bought them online. They come and go. Sometimes you can get them, most of the time you can't. But anyway, I got 13 of them. When these rust out, I might replace them with the Coro mini trees. I've been liking that look too. But I've had these since the beginning and very happy with them. And they all have their stands except one, which is really a pain. I think I accidentally gave away the stand at some point, so for that one I have a really big drill bit that I use to bore out a hole, and then it goes in pretty easy. And I got fishing line that holds that one straight, and looks like the stake is coming up or something. But yeah, needs to be tightened up. So anywho, I also like to keep all the connections where things meet off the ground where I can. I admit I didn't do a perfect job this year, but it does help keep the show from tripping. All right, and then we got the big trees. So these trees started off very, very small when I moved in. In fact, when I would wrap them with lights, it was almost like I was baling the trees. What I did is I would cut them back to keep them from getting too big, and apparently they really liked it. So each tree has 3 sets of 600 lights. So and 600 is a nice number for me for the power injection, but next year I'm planning on doubling them up. Each year I get better at getting them straight. One trick is having these crossbars occasionally. That keeps them from flipping around. And then at top, you can see I have hangers. And each hanger holds six strips of lights. So, you know, between two of those hangers, that is, you know, my 600. And that goes onto one port. And I do power injection, but I do all the power injection at the bottom. See, like right here. I run my lights at 30%. That way I don't have to do power injection all over the place. And then on the very top, on either end, I have wire that I use to just wire it into the trees. And then there's enough, I put enough holes in so the next year I can double up the number of strips. So if I need an extra wire, I got plenty of holes. And we just go around and hooking them up that way. And then I put pieces of PVC in between just to help keep them straight. Here is where we, you know, connect them together. See, and they're zip tied together. And then we do, you know, the modeling is 270 degrees around the tree. So, let's see, is there anything else? I think that is most of it. Now my neighbors are starting to gather around. They already think I'm crazy, especially when I come out and use a blower to dry my lights off after it rains. But yeah, that's our display. So snowflakes, I think we're over 100 snowflakes. Couldn't tell you how many, but it's very close to 100. It's either 100 or a little over. Okay, so anyway, that is our 2022 behind the scenes for our light show.